In the Armed Services Committee, Republican
still got the
Senator
beard.
Tom Cotton of Arkansas.
Still got the beard. Your wife is still pushing you to grow that beard, isn't she?
So, Senator,
hold on. We got to ask about the beard. This guy's going to look like a member of ZZ Top in a week or two. Go ahead.
My wife still loves the beard, so why would I shave it in the middle of winter?
That is a good point. So, Senator, you've been very outspoken against Russia, against Vladimir Putin. We just had Tom Cole, and we were very grateful to hear that Tom Cole was very disappointed by what the president said about comparing America to Russia.
Moral equivalency.
The moral equivalency. How concerned are you that the president of the United States basically says that we're no better than Vladimir Putin's Russia?
Well, I certainly wouldn't characterize him that way. Vladimir Putin is KGB. He's always been KGB. And he's an adversary of the United States. And to compare Russia and the United States reminds me of an old line from Bill Buckley in the Cold War, comparing the KGB and the CIA, saying the KGB is like a man that pushes an old woman in front of a bus. The CIA is like a man that pushes an old woman out from in front of a bus. And therefore, they're the same in the sense that they both push around old women.
So,
can you do that again?
No, one sentence and one.
Yeah. Senator Cotton, it sounds like you're saying this is a really bad and dangerous thing to say. Is that fair?
Well, again, I wouldn't characterize it that way, but also I wouldn't judge it. Well, I wouldn't judge all of our policy and posture towards Russia based on one comment in one interview.
President Trump is one comment in one interview. He said it in December of 2015. He said it time and time again, and he said it again on Sunday. This is something that I think in the course of 18 months could have been Googled. He knows what he's saying.
Mika, there's been other occasions too, like his press conference last month, in which he was more clear-eyed about Vladimir Putin and Russia. But if you don't look just what he says, but what he does as well, take for instance what our UN ambassador said about Russia and Ukraine last week, or the fact that we now have a Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State and CIA Director and Secretary of Homeland Security, all of whom see Russia very clear-eyed, or that President Trump has proposed to rebuild our military and expand our nuclear arsenal. None of those things look good if you're sitting in Moscow. So I think it's time, that we should just take a moment and wait for President Trump to have a fully staffed cabinet and explain exactly the posture he wants to take towards Russia. It would be good if we had a better relationship, but frankly, I don't see that relationship happening on any grounds other than American strength and pressure against Russian provocations.
Senator Cotton, it's Jeff Goldberg. You and I have spoken quite a bit about Putin and Donald Trump, and my question is simply this. If President Obama had said that, had made the moral equation between the United States and Russia, I don't think your reaction would have been the same. I mean, so why are you so forgiving of Donald Trump when I think you would have gone ballistic?
You're not a guy who minces words.
Yeah, you would have gone totally ballistic, maybe appropriately so, if President Obama had said, "Look, we're no better than Russia."
Jeff, please, I never go ballistic. I'm always measured and tempered.
Look at him.
Actually, he's anti-ballistic. He hates the Iranian ballistic missile program. He's terribly anti-ballistic.
No, Jeff, again, we're 2 weeks into the administration. A lot of my opposition to President Obama's policies had behind them 5, 6, 7 years of bad policies that made America less safe in my regard. I think it's appropriate that we take a moment to judge the whole circumstances of what President Trump has said and the policies he's going to pursue.
You're very forgiving.
Before we reach a definitive judgment. We're still just 3 weeks into his presidency.
Senator Cotton, Donnie Deutsch, so nice to talk to you. Beyond just the last few weeks of his presidency, let's look at the last 15, 18 months. I can't find an explanation, just me personally as somebody who's just watching and analyzes people, other than Nancy Pelosi's, that says, wait a second, there's got to be some connection with Russia we don't know about. There's no other logic from a political, from a moral, from a strategic point of view for him to constantly be promoting this kind of bromance. It doesn't make any sense other than that conclusion.
Well, Donnie, I would say that, as Donald Trump has said, he doesn't know Vladimir Putin. He doesn't have any deals there or relationship with them. But he's also pursuing, or at least proposing, a path that Barack Obama pursued early in his presidency, which is trying to have a better relationship with Russia, given some overlapping interests that we have. Again, that relationship would be good, but part of the problem that President Obama and, frankly, the previous 2 presidents as well had in dealing with Vladimir Putin is they thought that they could deal with him on an equal basis without coming at him from a position position of strength and trying to put pressure on Russia for all of the provocations against U.S. interests. That's what I would encourage Donald Trump to do, is if he wants to deal with Vladimir Putin, deal with him the way Ronald Reagan dealt with the Soviet leaders. Do so from a position of strength and force them to make concessions. Don't give them one-sided concessions.
Senator Cotton, it's Willie Geist. I want to ask you about a different issue, and that's immigration. Obviously, a lot of talk about that around President Trump's executive order over the last couple of weeks. But you're about to come out, along with Senator Perdue of Georgia, with a new idea about immigration. What are some of the details of it?
Well, Willie, there's a couple features of modern American life that I think are related. One, over the last several decades, people who work with their hands and on their feet have not had a pay raise, especially if you have a high school diploma or less. Two, we're at record high levels of immigration in this country. I don't think our immigration system is working for working Americans. Therefore, I'm proposing legislation today that would get our green card system, the people that we allow to come here on a permanent basis and become legal permanent residents, refocused on nuclear family reunification, so spouses and unmarried minor children, and reduce the number of total green cards we give out every year from 1 million to about 500,000, cutting in half. The legislation doesn't touch employment-based immigration at all. It simply tries to get a handle on 1 million immigrants coming here a year, virtually none of whom are coming here based on their employment skills or demonstrated economic need. I think that's a good first step to reforming our immigration system, so it focuses more on the immediate family and on high-skilled individuals that can come and help our economy, that makes our system more rational, kind of like the point system that the immigration policy of Canada and Australia is based on.
Senator Tom Cotton, thank you so much for being on the show this
Grow
morning.
that beard. I want ZZ Top action, all the way down to the belt
I don't think my
buckle.
wife will like the ZZ Top, but
No.
I'll keep it on for a little bit more, but
No.
close crop.
Okay. Up next, he investigated Trump University.